Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Friday, 12th of September, and this video is for education purpose only. There's no recommendation or advice whatsoever intended. Market moved higher yesterday in US, new all-time highs more or less across the board on indices. But it wasn't really all the Magnificent Seven that lifted the market. Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, Microsoft didn't move much, so it was less than 0.5% yesterday, and some of them actually in negative. So what lifted it? Well, Tesla was one of them, but it was a lot of other IT stocks lifting it within the next generation companies and such. But of course, yeah, Tesla, which is a big part of the Nasdaq 100, went up 6%, so it broke above this resistance that we talked about actually yesterday, that if it did, and it was indicated to do that, then it could push higher. And now there's not really much resistance. There's a minor resistance in where it ended yesterday around 368.69 in this region, as you can see here. But then we have to look further back in this region over here to see where we can move to. However, we can try to guesstimate a little bit how much can it move to using Fibonacci projection. We could move up to around 400. I wouldn't be surprised to see it up there. Now we can move up in this region here. There's some, you can say, kind of consolidation area in this region here. Around the 400, 425 region. So it seems like that's where we're headed at the moment. Looking at the weekly chart, well, we can see it's pushing towards its previous all-time highs. And whether we get there is, of course, debatable. So let's see about that. But for now, it's a fairly strong bullish trend. It is has built there. The Nasdaq itself, Nasdaq 100, yes, it closed higher yesterday. New all-time high close, and let's zoom in here. We can see what's really going on. New all-time high. Well, it paves the road for higher levels toward 24,355, which is 138.2. A projection of this correction here. Could move up to higher levels around the 161.8 at 24,593. However, targets are not that interesting. It is what if. And for now, well, if it slides back, and very short term, if it slides back to below 23,698, we are back in neutral. But to move into bearish territory, we need to get back below 23,000. And here pre-market, it is basically unchanged. So look, let's have a look at the S&P 500. Also new all-time high here. Very strong move yesterday indeed. At 0.85% higher, and almost to the 161.8 at 5,600. I think we could reach that today. We can see pre-market it's unchanged, but I think we could reach that. You can also see RSI, and that's also across the board on all indices. RSI has broken above its falling trend line, did it a couple of days ago already, and is pushing higher. There is divergence, but this is a strong push indicating likely higher levels, which is a kind of unusual for September, really, where it's really usually a volatile month and often a little bit negative because the fund managers are cleaning house with unwanted stocks. But at the moment, it seems like not really kicking in, though. It seems like we are still pushing higher. Dow Jones also higher, new all-time highs, and as long as it stays above 45,000, well, then we are in for a bullish mood. You can see here RSI being tested, the falling trend line there, but it's close slightly above, and I think it will push higher here in the coming days and weeks. So really strong moves there for the US markets, to say the least. We can also see it wasn't really semiconductors lifting. Well, it was up about 0.5%, but not really that. And you can see tech sector didn't really move 0.2%. So it was other sectors like next generation. It was it was financial, it was home builders. Moving on to Asian markets, we talked about it yesterday, it was likely to push higher and up to 161.8, just a few pips from it, at the 26,605, just below it, with a negative candle actually. So that's a little bit negative for it. Could it be a top and reversal? We will know Monday, where we could have a little bit of setback towards 26,000, but still in a bullish trend and positive sentiment on the RSI. Nikkei also higher this morning here towards the weekend, and very close to the 138 projection of this last correction there. And let's remove this, it's obsolete now. And I think it will push higher in the coming days and weeks. We can also see all moving averages rising, so the underlying medium-term trend is also bullish. On the European markets, well, it took back a little bit what it lost the other day, but still it is in this range here, and key support 5,290. So still under pressure here on the European market. However, we are still in a positive sentiment on the EuroStoxx, where we're going to look at DAX in a minute. DAX is not in positive sentiment, so there's divergence there. So it's like it's not really moving much in the European market. Can't really make up its mind. Will it follow the US higher or will it not? At the moment, it seems like not really, and we can see pre-market. Let's look at EuroStoxx50 pre-market here on the illustrated by the CFD. It's actually down a little bit, so there's not much faith in the European stocks, to be honest. So we are in a bouncing mode, but it's not that convincing. DAX, you can see it, yeah, it bounced a little bit yesterday, but still we are above 23,482. Negative sentiment. We are actually in a bearish trend short term here. We need to get back above at least 24,064 to establish a bullish trend that could have some meaningful life. The pre-market here illustrated by the CFD, well, it's still also in this, it is in this depressed, I would say, negative sentiment, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower high maybe. If it takes out these levels down here, the support 23,473. Then we have the next one here at the 23s, which is really the significant one, 23,374. We can also see that the closing price here was just in this, and so we can see there's some really strong supports here, but we are below 55 and 100 moving average. So Europe, it's hard to guess the direction because in the overall picture it's basically sideways. So I'm in a wait and see mode with the European stocks at the moment. On the FX markets, well, we have euro dollar, and I think we can remove this one. It seems like it's not really doing us any good. We are in this range here between just below 118 and 115.80, and it needs to, you can see, well, we have a slightly rising trend here, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and so on. But negative sentiment still on the RSI, didn't close above 60 threshold at any given time after it closed below 40. So it's not that convincing. Yes, we are above the cloud. Yes, we are above 55 moving average. And yes, we have a slightly bullish trend, but I want to see it push above 118 for upside potential. Could still slide back to test the 116, 115.80. So a little bit in a limbo, I would say, here on euro dollar, although I would expect it to crawl higher. The sterling dollar, 135.90, just below 136. So also really you can see here, really strong resistance. There is positive sentiment slightly on the RSI, but we are caught range bound, and it could slide back. So it's really also in a little bit of a limbo for sterling dollar there. The euro sterling it seems to be bouncing from the 86.40 support area, the 61.8 retracement of this bounce, this little uptrend here, and a correction could bounce. Positive sentiment on the RSI, as we can see. If it moves back above 60 threshold, then it's to be confirmed. and a push up in this region around 87. This resistance here at 87.10. 15 will come under pressure, and I think it will be taken out. But for now, also a little bit of wait and see mode. And again, 86 is the key support. The yen pairs also a range bound. So there's so many of these FX pairs, they are range bound and can't really make up its mind. So it's wait and see really, because you can easily be whipsawed. Look at this for dollar yen. It's been like that for weeks and weeks now. 149 area, we have the 200 moving average giving a hard time there. Then we have the 100 coming up there, 146.20 as a support area. We have the rising trend line, and also here we are in the cloud. So we are in a neutral. However, we are in a positive sentiment, but it doesn't really materialize. And in the bigger picture, if we look at the weekly chart, well, it doesn't give me anything either, other than, yes, we're still in a negative sentiment, but it will take a long time to turn around. We have the 100 moving average on the weekly, kind of putting a lid on it there. We have 55 coming down here. That is basically flat, as we can see. And then we have 200 come out of there. So it can also be boxed in for quite a while. I need a meaningful breakout of this range here for... Otherwise, I'm just standing on the sideline. If it was me trading dollar yen, I'm not. But moving on to euro yen, seems to be bouncing from the 38.2 retracement here at 172.30. Could have another go at the resistance there just below 174. Key resistance level. It seems like it wants to do it because we do have positive sentiment. However, there's a little bit divergence, and we see RSI values higher here than here, market were higher here than here. We still have this top and reversal, really strong, really significant berries engulfing there that is still in play, really. It has been tested, but it needs a close above for it to be cancelled, and then we can push higher. So really keep an eye on this level. If it takes out the lows here from a couple of days ago, 172.10, then we are looking 171.30. Aussie yen is the one that has been giving clear signals all the way through here the past few weeks, and is pushing higher, and I think it will push higher here in the coming weeks. Positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels. I could see Aussie yen, of course there can be some corrections on the way, but I could see Aussie yen pushing higher towards 99.5 in this region here, where we have some stronger resistance. But first one is 98.60, and then I think we could see a bit of correction, and then a next move higher. Sterling yen, it's still the 200. I've said it so many times. 200 resistance. It has spiked above again yesterday, but it can't really. There's really strong interest in that region there. So, but I think if it takes out that spike up maybe to 200.5 and a bit more, then it could maybe finally break it. But it's really a key level. Aussie dollar has also been showing a strong trend lately, so that has not been range bound, and it's reached 161.8 projection of the latest correction there at 66.65, and spiked a little bit. We could see a little bit of a setback, but then I think we'll have another go at it, possibly pushing higher, because positive sentiment, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels, or Aussie dollar seems to be pushing much higher. Let's have a look at the weekly just very quickly to see it's getting closer to the 200 weekly moving average. I think we will overshoot it to at least 67, possibly higher. We can also see RSI on the weekly seems to be closing the week above 60 threshold. Day is not gone yet, so we can still slide back, but it seems like that's where we are. And if it does, then there's further upside potential for Aussie dollar in the coming weeks. Dollar Canada was also giving a little bit of a fairly clear signal, but it failed yesterday to close back above 60 threshold here on the RSI, and it was sent back from the 786 retracement. But still, we are in this fairly strong bounce mode here, and I think it will pick up. And if it takes out the peak from yesterday at 138.90 and a change, then we are still on course for 140, and I think we'll reach that. It will take some time, I believe, but as long as it stays above 137.20 here, then that is still in play. But it's not unusual. You see a little bit of correction around the 786 retracement levels here, 138.80, and then it could set back even further to 138 and then a push higher. I think that will be the scenario. Again, it's not there are no certainties. Sterling Canada above here now is struggling with these levels here around 188. Could set back again a little bit. It seems like the moving averages are not that convincing. However, they are all rising, and I still think we'll see Sterling Canada pushing higher, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of a correction down to 137 area. 187 area, and then a bounce and 189 in a couple of weeks maybe. Euro Swiss still also a bit range bound. It is the 93 at 10-15 level here that we have. That is key support. Still positive sentiment that is also holding on to it a little bit. But we could have another test at it. But let's see. Could bounce up to 94 and the 200 moving average, which is done so many times. But you can see we are actually lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. Will we get a lower low? We had a slightly dip there, but it's not really convincing, so it could bounce again. Dollar Swiss, let's just resize it there. Dollar Swiss. 79, just above that, 79.10. Seems to be some interesting there. Curious to see why, but that's how it is. But we are in a bearish trend, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and lower highs, and lower lows. And will it turn around, or will it push lower and also test these lows here at 78.70 and possibly take them out? Negative sentiment on the RSI is telling me it will. We are below the cloud. We are below all moving averages. They are all declining. So I think we'll see that push lower. But I need confirmation for that to play out before I do anything. If it was me, the dollar index is more or less the same picture as dollar Swiss. Really, we had a close below the support there, 97.45. Open lower and then back up. We are slightly bearish trend. But in the bigger picture, basically range bound. If it moves back about 98.73, well, then we have demolished this potential bearish picture that is not confirmed because RSI has still not closed below 40 threshold. However, we are below the cloud, we are below all moving averages, but it is not convincing. So I would be careful to say the least. Gold. Gold is still holding on. Will it have another go and not get me that correction that I did expect? If it takes out 3,675, the peak there, well, then there's potential up to 3,715, possibly higher in the coming week. So let's see about that. I must admit, I did expect the correction to kick in because we actually have a little bit of divergence there on the RSI. As you can see, a market moved higher, but RSI moved over. So I did expect a correction. So let's see. And also we've had this this shooting star like candle here is usually an indication of a top and reversal, but it hasn't materialized yet. But I think if it takes out the lows from yesterday, and this is very short, very short term, at 3,613, then I think we could see a correction down to around 3,536, which is the 38.2 retracement. Silver, on the other hand, finally woke up and pushed higher, and I think we will see it up to 42.5, 43, 43 and a quarter, which is going all the way back. Really far back. I have to zoom out a lot. So these are the levels here that we are looking at, and you could push higher in the coming days and weeks. The platinum lacking, so it needs to take out that spike up. I think it will do it eventually, given that we have positive sentiment on the RSI, and I think it will catch up with the two other precious metals. Copper closed yesterday above the key resistance there, and above now trading above the 200 moving average. It could push higher. Key question is, will it push all the way up to 495? Key question will also be, will RSI close above 60 threshold or not, or will it be rejected? And we could see a rejection, but you can see we have this, we talked about it, slightly rising trend line, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and now seems like we're getting a new higher high. That could push it higher. I don't think we'll shoot up there to 495, which is also the 38.2 retracement. We have the 100 and the 55 moving average coming down, so maybe we come up in the region around 480, 485, where we then hit the 100 and the 55 coming down here, possibly within a week or two, and then a setback. But key question again, RSI, will it close above 60 threshold or not? Or will it be rejected? On the crude oil market, WTI sliding lower, and I think we will push towards 60 here, especially if it takes out that little spike down there at 61.45. I think we will see it down here at $60. We are in this falling channel there. Brent also, I think, will test the 65 once again, and if it takes it out, which I wouldn't be surprised to see, then we're looking at 62.55. You can see correction was up to 61.8 retracement, and now can remove that. So key support there, 65. European nat gas, European nat gas rejected around the 55 moving average and the 786, and seems to be resuming downtrend, and I think it will down to around 31 possibly. What you can also do if you're trading this very short term, then you say, all right, then we have a new move. So now we are about 50%. I think we could do down to 32, possibly 30. 3160 was the 786 retracement. On the US nat gas also setting back after being rejected here around the 319 and 55 moving average coming down there, and now taking back 50% of this uptrend already. I think we will see a test of the support at 286, and the 61.8 retracement just below it here could actually occur today. We have still negative sentiment on the RSI, got rejected at 60 threshold, so it seems to be that it will be set back. So the potential target of this falling wedge has been concluded, and we can remove this, and then then we can concentrate on what's going on here. Moving on to the interest rates and treasury yields, we have the US 10-year treasury yields just touching the 4% yesterday. I think it will bounce. We have a slight divergence here on the RSI, and if we add to it, you can see there and there, you can see how it's rising. So it seems like short term we could be in an exhaustion mode, and we could see a bit of a bounce up to 410, 412 area, but we are in a fairly strong bearish trend on the US 10-year, and we can also see it here on the weekly chart. Looking at the European yields, the EU 10-year bounced strongly again yesterday, testing this resistance here and the rising trend line. So what we can do now, and I will actually remove this one, it did reach the 138.2 projection, but I will remove it because now we have another move that we can measure, and then we say, okay, it's probably going up to 270, which is 38.2 retracement, and if it moves back above the rising trend line, then there could be a move up to the 61.8 at 273. Still positive sentiment despite the fact we had all this divergence there, so it actually bounced above the 40 threshold. I think we will be, in the bigger picture, be called range bound here, so I don't expect any dramatic trend at the moment to be established. The UK 10 dipped lower yesterday, almost down to the 786. They didn't get there, and this morning we are bouncing a bit, and if it starts crawling back above, and I would actually add a Fibonacci to it to give me some guidance. So if this is also the exhaustion there, then we could see it bounce up to the 470 here at the 38.2 retracement. That could be the next step. The Japanese one has also bounced and is crawling back, and I think actually in a couple of weeks time, maybe a week's time, it will be back up here to test these levels. You can see now it bounced from the 61.8 retracement. So what we can do, can we adjust this maybe? Let's see. It's not. Yeah, we can do that. So we can see we can use it the other way. And I think 61.8 retracement at 160.61 is the next one, possibly up to the 786 at 130, 163. Cryptos on the move. We have Bitcoin above, back above 112,500. We have about the 38.2 retracement. I think it will push higher, but RSI will be a little bit of a barrier to break. First of all, the falling trend line, and especially the 60 threshold that needs to close above, then it is likely to push higher. Ethereum, on the other hand, seems to be resuming uptrends, very close to getting back above 60 threshold. I think it will do it, and we will see 46 at 70 shortly, maybe before the weekend or over the weekend, possibly higher. Key support here at 4,200, and especially around 4,066. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and a nice weekend when you get to there. Talk to you again Monday.